Good morning, guys. How we doing this morning? Larry, good morning. User and a bunch of numbers. Good morning. Trying to get my hands to work this morning. Hope everybody's doing good. I am thankful for the warmer weather that we're having in this area. We kind of went through it. Todd, good morning. Good to see you. Just happy to see the warmer weather coming up because, man, I've just had it with the cold. I want no more of it. And this weather changing back and forth is just about as bad. Just trying to get some of my stuff picked up here. I didn't do a cleanup like I normally do in between the weekends. You can see the pile down here below me. I started, well, here's the other half of it. I've been doing some research on primitive weapons. Now, full disclosure, this one was cut down with a pole saw. This was up in a bodark tree, so I didn't use primitive tools to harvest it. I wasn't about to climb up that hedge tree with a stone axe, but I wanted to find just what I was looking for. So this is the other half. I'm going to have to make a right-handed thrower out of this. But I throw left-handed, so I started with what would be the left-hand side. Now the wrap right here, it started off as just kind of to keep it from splitting because this was green. I mean, I cut this out of the tree on Saturday. And no, actually, yeah, I guess it was Saturday. And started removing it. And this bodark is notorious for splitting in the sapwood as it dries, and this looks like it's trying to right here. I'll probably end up wrapping this until it dries a little bit more, but I've been working it while it was green. It's a lot easier to shave. Once this, even the sapwood gets dry, it gets really difficult to work with. But I've been working on it like so. This is gonna, I've thrown it a couple of times just to see, and I was really impressed with the way that it, that it flew. I had never made one from primitive materials with stone, and it really wasn't, I mean, I don't have that much time, and this was actually a really efficient build for what it is. You can see the tools will get you though. That was, I was scraping and gouging. I had a flake break on me that I was working with, and it gouged me pretty good. I've got a video coming up. Blake, good morning. I'm working on the video on this. We're going to do, I'll probably work on finish work on this on Wednesday night on my live there, but we should be pretty close. And then the next thing will be trying to figure out what kind of shot we're going to do with it on camera. So good morning, Chris. How you doing today? But yeah, basically what this is, I don't know if you guys or anybody's familiar. This would be classified as a boomerang, a non-returning boomerang. And I'm doing good, Chris. Man, this morning the weather change, as beautiful as it is outside and has been. Yesterday was really nice also. But man, I wish it'd pick a temperature and stay there for a little while, Josh, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to do the finish work. I'll set this aside. I was just trying to get my hands to start working a little bit, get loosened up. But this, if you guys have never ever used one of these or been around one, it's technically a boomerang, a non-returning boomerang. And I was really impressed, and I've got a ways to go. This is still, fairly green. It's fairly heavy. As this dries out a little bit more, if I can keep it from splitting, and I can see a split starting right here, I'm gonna wrap that. And but I was really impressed with the flight of it. It flew like a low hovering boomerang, and I've got a ways to go. It's going to get better actually as it's thinned and dries out. So anyway, I wanted to kind of show off that little build from this weekend. That's most of that scraping on that is just done with I picked through my pile down here like I told you guys I do sometimes. And a lot of the shaving was just done with flakes out of the pile and that kind of stuff. So, good morning, Justin. How are you today? Just kind of giving everybody a chance to show up. I was showing off my throwing stick that I worked on this weekend. Oh, get those joints to pop. Weather's going to be beautiful today. Got a very cool DJ. My weekend was good. Was just showing, this was what I worked on over the weekend. I cut this on Saturday. I think it was Saturday evening. And then we split it up. Now, like I said, full disclosure, this was cut with a pole saw. I didn't use my stone axe. Now I can't find my wedges. Well, there's one of them. But I used bone and antler wedges to split this from its other half, and then worked it down with stone tools. I was telling them, it actually has gone fairly quick. I was surprised, because this is Osage, and it's a small little sucker off the tree. But that thing, then during manufacturing, I got it, just happened to get myself right where I would have to grip that to throw it. So I'm confident that once this heals up, I'll be able to throw a little bit less like a 3-year-old. I took a couple of throws with it, and I haven't thrown something like that in a while. Oh man, Chris, that sounds fantastic. Barbecue deer carne asada sushi yesterday. There wasn't a bad word in that whole sentence, man. I mean, you could just pick any of those out. You know what I mean? All right. Well, guys, I haven't worked on this piece since Friday, so that we could continue. You said you kind of wanted to watch it, so today we're going to keep refining on those edges and bringing it in and getting a. Hey, Cody, good morning. I bet it is, Chris. You're making me jealous over here. Well, now I tell you what, we had dinner last night. I saw something. I forget if it was on TikTok or some reel or something. Some dinner, sandwiches. I love French dip sandwiches. Well, it looked good. I just sent it to my wife. I was like, well, doesn't this look good? And she came home yesterday with the stuff to make it, and we had like this just packaged roast beef in the crock pot with au jus and some onions and some stuff, and let that simmer, and then with a little bit of a gravy thickener, and then garlic toast, like that Texas style garlic toast or garlic bread that you get to have with your spaghetti and that kind of stuff, and a piece of provolone cheese melted on top of that, and made, my mouth's watering right now, made French dips with freaking garlic bread. And I'm here to tell you that was some fantastic stuff. That's crazy, Justin. But yeah, I saw that on like TikTok or something, and I just, I do that sometimes. I'm like, man, doesn't this look good? And I've done it 100 times. It's not like she does that, but for whatever reason, man, she said that sounded good to her, and that's what we had, and it was funny. I was surprised because I told her, I said, I didn't tell you that to get you to buy the stuff for it. I just thought it sounded good. All right, we're gonna get into this a little bit. Make sure I'm in frame. As I'm working across this, you'll see I'm coming up on an area that's kind of flat right here. I'm pulling these flakes this way. This area, I don't want to adjust that a lot. I just more towards the edge. So they're going to be really, well, here, I'll show you the profile, the way it's coming off. They're going to be really just short, blendy flakes. If you try to take too long of flakes, that is funny. Yeah, man, or you must have been watching the same TikTok, Justin. Paul, you got some of the Candy Rock from Missouri this weekend? Yeah, I bet you it was something like that, Justin. That's crazy. And I'm here to tell you that was, for a bread and au jus guy, because that's when she told me what we were having, I was pretty happy about it. I'm not gonna lie. Now see, I'm just taking these little short, almost like I'm just trying to turn the edge. I'm not even wanting those to go out in there. I'm just building some convexity. Now we get to the other side of it, and you see there's like a little hump right here. Okay, so you see how we worked along this edge here, and that's how the contours are fairly flat, and then we got a little bit of a lump right there. I couldn't tell you personally what bear meat tastes like. I've heard people say that I've eaten raccoon, and it's related to bear. It's not bad. It's kind of oily or greasy. See, I just wanted to throw that flake across the top of that ridge of that mass. Get that cut. But I've never had bear, but I have had raccoon, like barbecue or slow cooked, and it's good. I wouldn't, but it was more of an oily type meat, and I know that raccoons are actually related to bears, but that's as close as I've gotten to bear meat. Some people really like it. Like I said, I have never had it. So we've got just about where we're at our final thickness, like the final pass thickness on this. South Arkansas thing. I don't know if I don't guess I caught all of that. Sorry, guys. I know they were talking about eating bear meat, and past that, I don't know what happened. Has a little bite to it. Hold on a second, Chris. I got your, you know, all be here all week. Ba-dooch. Again, we had like a little bit of a flatter area there. So I'm just taking little short downward flakes into it. And as we're chipping along that, we come back to that spot we hit a while ago, and it's still just a little bit of a bump there. And I'm trying to get as smooth a transition on this as I can. Jasper, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I'll show you where we're at here. As I work down along there, you see there's just right there in front of my fingers, right there, there's a little area of mass that I need to start kind of getting it rounded into this. So I'm going to try to take a little bit more of an in and down flake on this. Like this, and now it really isolated that spot. So I can go right next to it. See, and that flake went out here, and then I'll show you. I'm gonna take one more. Two more, maybe. Well, keep counting. But that little series right there, by attacking it that way, you can see how now that whole area, how even, and there's no extra mass, and all those flakes came from right in this area. That's just right out in here. There's a little bit of mass, and we're gonna smooth in here, but along the edge we've got a very even edge and a very... No, Caleb, I thought about it, and I'm not gonna lie, because this thing would make a killer. But I started off wanting to do a really nice Dalton out of this, and I think I'm gonna do a Dalton. Yeah, the plain view, Andy, get to the points, Andy Leach. I was thinking, well, like a plain view, similar to a Dalton, but yeah, that's where I was going with it. This is a piece of some raw, I think it came out of Illinois, it's some kind of a Burlington, but it's working fantastic. I mean, I love the toughness of the rock and the way that it'll... Thank you, Caleb. Yeah, I've been practicing them quite a bit. I'm gonna do some more work. I have to take a break from them though sometimes now. I've been fortunate. The last 3 that I've done have all been successful as far as not breaking them, or you know that everything turned out. And if you've made enough of them, you know the odds are, you know. I'm really pushing close to the next one's going to break, and my hands, it's a very, you know, it's similar to the Daltons, but it's to get the you have to have that ridge has got to be set just so, or it's just going to break. And even you guys were watching. I mean, the more of them that I've made, I could see that. Hey Terry, good morning. I could see that little bump that came out in that flute, or it was going to be in that channel, and I just knew that it was going to flare out there. And I mean, once you start getting used to looking at that, it makes more sense, but it's also very tedious to make sure everything is just like it's supposed to be. You know, that was what I didn't understand when I first started trying to make them. All those little things like that were causing my points to break when I was trying to flute them. Well, now I understand why they were breaking, but it's just it's a lot of tediousness to get them right. And I like to try to do them as right as possible, so it wears on me. Yeah, but he's using a modern jig to flute those with. That's the difference though, Caleb. I mean, there's a lot of these guys. There's another, Tony Soares makes some freaking gorgeous ones. But that's the thing is, you know, once you get that, build the pressure with those, like the Blaze. This is a piece of raw Burlington-ish type material. This was gifted to me by a buddy of mine at a nap-in. So it's kind of like a, I don't even know how to describe what it's working like a tough Burlington. So we're going to try to make a Dalton out of it. But yeah, I'll tell you, Caleb, one of the fluting techniques that I'm really wanting to get back into, or to try. Are you familiar with who Swoosh Alexander was? Anybody? Davis, thank you for the follow. That's the only way I think I'm going to be able to build that kind of compression. Either that or like a chest crutch. That's another compression type device. But Swoosh did yep, and I tried that a little bit a few years ago. And I didn't have as much of an understanding of all the mechanics involved with it when I tried it, and I'm really thinking about going back and revisiting that, because that's the only way that I've seen to build that amount of compression. Oh, that was a nice series of flakes there. And see how that continued that convexity in there? But yeah, that forked, you know, because I saw in one of my research papers that I was recently reading, it was like, well, I'm trying to think if I've got something. It was, now imagine this on a bigger scale, but it was an antler cut that looked like it had, the wear patterns on it was almost like it was used as a pressure downward, like it was tied to some type of a log or something for compression. And the archaeologists that they were, you know, discussing that they felt like it might have been I saw a guy on YouTube fluting Folsoms with pressure flaking. I've seen, now are you talking about like in his hand pressure flaking, or are you talking about like a chest crutch or something like that? Oh, I'd like to check that out, Caleb. I may have to try to, because I don't know how many times I've searched and looked for fluting Folsoms. I mean, I watch as much of that stuff as I can, because, you know, even if I'm not using the same tools, there's certain things that you can glean from those videos, no matter what kind of tool you're using. So the contours, the way that they're building pressure, there's a whole bunch of, you know, because the physics behind it are the same. Yeah, that's really cool, Caleb. I'd love to see that. Because I am constantly looking at, you know, like I said, I'm trying to modify them, or to be able to do them with, you know, these type of tools. But that's what I was saying, that the fork stick method that Swoosh was doing is really similar to like a guillotine, except for the moment that he would tap or strike that off there. But still very, very, you know, cool, primitive technology that I really like to try. Boy, who was it that came in here and said, was it Cody that said Folsom time? Now I'm looking at this piece, and it is turned out nice for that, but we'll just keep going. I want to do a Dalton. That's what I said I was going to do. And guys, I have a cool development going on with my YouTube stuff. If you guys are unable to watch a show, if you miss, a live and you're wanting to see a point being finished and all that kind of stuff, starting with today's live, now I'm going to have a backlog of some of my stuff, but for sure from today going forward, all of my content on here is going to be available on YouTube and a playlist. So if there's something on a live that I did that you want to rewatch, whatever the case may be, all of this content is going to be uploaded onto YouTube. So kind of excited about that, being able to have access to some of the stuff. And I've had people ask me if there were other places they could watch this once it was done, and that's now a possibility. Trying to get through this little chalky area back here and just start setting that base just a little. I'd like to leave just a little bit of that color in one of the ears just because it's different. All right. Again, we're going through a kind of a flat area here, so I'm gonna be more just straight down with my flakes. I'm not pushing in, I'm just going down. Now here's a spot where there's a little bit of a ridge. I'll put a little bit more inward pressure and then down. The platform crushed a little bit there. I was trying not to get too big a platform. All right. See, and that flake went out to here. It went out to here. These are a little bit more downward. Now we've got a spot right here. It's a little bit of mass, then a valley right here where my thumb is. So I'm wanting to take these flakes and go right into about this area here. Let me show you up close. So you can see this little hump right here. And I want these flakes just to taper off right in behind it and just continue, because you can see that little bit of mass right there. When you hear that double pop like that, that means the platform crushed just a little bit before I could get to that spot right there. So I've got one more shot where I can try to, this is not going to get all of it, but you can see that little spot I got set right there. I'm going to try to get it to fan out a little bit right in there. If not, we can get it on the next pass. I was just hoping to get it a little bit cleaner profile as early as I could, so I got some of it. That's all right. There, I was able to just barely hook into that. No, tried to push it. I got a little bit of a short spot there. It kind of crushed, but we can get it on the next pass. So what we're going for as we're doing this is we're trying to get as smooth of a profile and as like straight and nice of an edge as we can. And that's why I'm not trying to drive every one of these flakes in to thin this even more, because at this point, if I thin this out, then all of our convexity is lost, and our finish pass of flakes will not, they won't be the correct for the point style. So we're still just developing contours for those flakes to run. And it's just like when you're early stage stuff, if you try to get too thin too quick, you lose your convexity, and then you're stuck trying to reset it up. Anywhere down this edge that I go that there's a little bit of extra, you can see that this side's a little thicker. I'm trying to take more aggressive flakes, making a really nice rounded ridge there, and the next time that I come back this way, those flakes will be going all the way across the piece. And that's the goal on the final pass on these Daltons, is to have, you know, that final, you know, thinning or shape, you know, the final pattern pass. After that, it's just all sharpening or resharpening. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, you can tell, you know, when whoever it was said something about a Folsom earlier, you know, the Dalton culture was just an evolution of the Folsoms, which was from the Clovis. It wasn't different people; it was the same people that were spreading out and you know, developing new technology based off what they already knew. That's why Daltons being like they are, the earlier stages of them, the flaking, you know, if it's paleo or paleo transitional, I think they call the Daltons technically are late paleo or paleo transitional, because they were some of the first peoples that started, they weren't nomadic, they were semi-nomadic or were starting an agricultural or at least sedentary lifestyle. But there's so many similarities about the flaking. And then once people started growing their food and living in the same place, and you saw different styles of flaking, that's when you start seeing the notching and all that kind of stuff starts to develop. So from that point in time forward, everything they started, you know, everything was made differently because it had different uses in it. They didn't have to have something that they were carrying everywhere with them. You know what I mean? All right. It's one of the things we've had a discussion here before. That's one of my theories on why you see so many of the, you know, the paleo style points, why they were so beautifully made, you know, just absolutely gorgeous flaking and the such. And it's because, you know, they were carrying that tool for their life. You know, they were going to carry the best that they had and make the best that they could. So, you know, if they were on a hunt, they couldn't just stop and make another tool. You know, they had to go with what they had. So, hey, Steve, good morning. Uh-oh. I lost my monitor here for whatever reason. No, it's saying it's going into power saving. Oh, there it goes. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I mean, you guys never left, but I couldn't see what the heck was going on. Steve, check this out. I know you've been making some bows. I worked on this weekend. This wrap's going to come off. This is just trying to keep this split from continuing. But I worked on a throwing stick, a rabbit stick this weekend. Probably going to do the finish work and stuff on Wednesday. Brizzo, good morning. You finally beat that mattress today, huh? Retired life. Be like my grandpa. The Folsoms were religious. Well, I do, but I tell you, Caleb, this is my take on the Folsoms, and I've told you guys. I mean, that's my favorite. Camel Games. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. You know, I think that the Folsoms were part of a system. Couldn't stand it, Brizzo. But I think the Folsoms were part of a system. And it's like I said before, if you ride a bike or drive a car or whatever, everywhere you go, and the only tool that you need for that thing is a 1/2-inch wrench, you're not going to carry a 5/8 with you. And I think that the reason that they were okay with as high a failure rate as they had on the manufacturing is because it had to fit in that guideline. You know, I mean, I've shown you guys the cast and stuff, and how that it was something that was reusable multiple times. After the tip would break off, they could undo the lashings and slide it out and relash it. And that's how we end up with those little worn out pieces. But also, think about this. You guys know what an H-beam or an I-beam? Well, when you look, let me find a really good cross-section on. Yeah, here's a good cross-section one. When you look at that, look at the cross-section of those pieces. It's like a shallow H-beam or I-beam. And what it's doing is not only is it facilitating the hafting, it's also strengthening. That's just a little tiny point, but it's got that groove to both. But it makes it more rigid because of that. Charles, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So, you know, anything that was done that evolved to something that we recognize, they did it because there was a benefit to it. One of the greatest stories I've heard on something like that, guys, was John McPherson. And I don't know if you know Prairie Wolf Productions. He's a primitive skills, primitive life ways, living in nature kind of guy. But he made arrows with primitive tools, and he showed, you know, sizing and scraping them. But he said several of the ones that he looked at in the museums, they had what they called lightning grooves, you know, squiggly lines and lightning lines and straight lines going down the length of these arrows. And people were saying, oh, they're blood grooves, they're lightning grooves to give magical power to that arrow or whatever it may be. So since he was trying to make museum reproductions, he would include those in his builds, and in a specific order of the way he would do it. Well, this one time he started making them, and he put the lines in before he did his final straightening, or one of his later stage straightening. And when he heated that, the edges of that ridge, if you think of where those little scraped out spots are, the edges of those ridges, when he would put that over the heat, they got extremely hard and brittle, but yet the rest of the arrow was still flexible. And what he determined with that was that those ridges acted like they made it more rigid because the flame heat treat, you know, it's like it made it harder, and it kept those arrows from bending as easily as ones that he had done in the past. You know, but that's something that, you know, like I said, archaeologists said, oh, it's blood grooves. Oh, it's blood. There's a reason that they did everything that they did. And for what, you know, whatever, we don't know what those reasons are, but we can surmise based off of, you know, scientific study what the likelihood of why they did that, you know, but we don't know for certain. But there was a reason. For sure. So sorry about that. Going off on a tangent there, guys. I really enjoy the study on the Folsom culture. I just think that it's amazing at the time of the way the world was when they were walking the plains with a handful of sticks and everything they owned on their body to live. I just think that you just don't get any more badass than that. You just don't. So, hey, there's my honey. How you doing, sweetie? I was just going off on one of my long tangents about Folsoms, you know. See, this was a whole series on that. See, this was a whole series on my flatter side here. Whole series on my flatter side here, just to build convexity towards the middle. And how that was that series right there, and how they beveled that edge more. Coffee looks a little weak, needs to be stronger, like the bear who fights the river. Well, I tell you what, I'll put that coffee right there up against just about anybody in here, because I am having some coffee this morning, and that's my wife's coffee, and there ain't no weak to it. You're seeing a reflection. You're not seeing through that. I guarantee you, you drink that and you can fight the bear in the river. Fight the bear and the river in the river. All right, we're gonna start bringing this other edge in, but we're starting to get a really nice, you see that profile, how lenticular that is. As we bring this other side in, I was just trying to keep everything fairly even a little flat over here. So my next series is going to be this side, and then build some more convexity. But this side's just going to be another just downward type. But this side's just going to be another just downward type flakes. Not trying to drive them in at this point. Till I get to a little area that a little bit more mass than I'm wanting there, then I'll push in a little bit more. And then I go right back to this was in, and then more downwards. Yeah, no weak coffee in this house. That is no lie, sweetie. Yeah, no weak coffee in this house. That is no lie, sweetie. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine come over one time, and I'm so used to the way we make coffee here. He brought over this bag of this coffee that he had roasted and done himself in the grind and the whole deal. And he said, "Hey, I brought some coffee if you want to make some up." And I said, "Right on." So I, took it in there to make a pot of coffee, and I brought it out, and he drank it, and it was good and whatever. And he said, "Is there any more coffee left?" We drank the pot, and I said, "No." I said, "I can make you some with our house, the stuff." He goes, "There's no more of the other coffee?" And I said, "No." He said, that was enough to make like 3 pots." He said, "I thought there was a reason why my teeth were," he said, "everything's tingling." Hey, Kenny, good morning. Just trying to batter this edge a little bit just to kind of, I want it to be a pretty stout platform, because I'm going to take some nice, these are going to be important contouring flakes here. So I want a really good platform to push them off of. All right. All right. Right on, Deer Trail. Looking forward to hearing how that turned out. Now here's that set of flakes there, guys, and I wasn't trying to, I had to get into a rhythm to really get those to start. And you can see from the lighter area where those tailed off to. And that's what we're trying to do, is build that really nice ridge of convexity. This next series of flakes from this side will come closer, and that's what we're trying to do, is get to where those flakes are going to crest the top of that, of what's the ridge there that we're building. But see, you can see with the more uniform that edge gets, and the more uniform this is, the better those flakes trail off, and we start getting what's typically known as like a Dalton. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Kenny. That sounds interesting. I've thought about making some mead before. That's actually something that the wife and I, we've started an apple orchard. We're gonna. That's actually something that the wife and I, we've started an apple orchard. We're gonna actually start doing some apple wines and brandies once we start. Right on. Yeah, we've got last winter we planted 5 apple trees and 2 peach trees. We started an orchard, and really looking forward to harvesting. It's going to be a few years before they're mature enough to harvest, but you got to get them started somewhere, Oh yeah, yeah. It's just a honey wine with other. You know, some people put other seasonings in it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it just that cool thing about those yeast bacteria is they don't care what kind of sugar it is as long as they got some sugar. All right. All right. See, now this side was a little bit more irregular, and it just came up to this little edge here. But with the next couple of series, it will. It's going to flatten it out even more. But you can see the cross section on both sides. You got that really nice, kind of ripped out paleo style of type flaking. All right. Give my hands a break. Oh, right on, Kenny. Well, I'm sure that if they had, you know, honey that got water in it, there's natural yeast in the air. You know, that's what winemakers they don't add. Well, their traditional ones don't add yeast to them. They use the natural yeast that was on the skins of the grapes. So, you know, the yeast is in the air all around us. So, I mean, the fermentation will happen. It's just a matter of most of the time you want to introduce the kind of yeast that you want for the flavors you want. But yeah, I'm sure that was probably something along those lines. They had some honey saved and it got water in it and it fermented and they drank it and hey, look what we figured out. Now, although that was coffee, that is the one cup that I'm having today. That was my the way I rationalized that today. Because I am still cutting back. I've been drinking a lot more like herbal teas and that kind of stuff. So trying to cut back on the caffeine. Now right here, what I'm doing is I'm just going down along this edge and dragging all of those little deltas off there just to clean that up. If I see a little spot where I can take a flake, then I do. But I'm trying to make that edge just as smooth. See, and I got rid of all the big flakes, but you can see how smooth along that edge that is. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I usually I get right in the middle of that delta and then kind of increase the angle and just a nice little push down. If you try to push in, then you're going to step those and it makes a spot in your platform there that when you try to run a flake through it gives it a little bit of it's not as uniform. There's a little bit of a chattery spot, you know. And what we're trying to avoid is we want it to be as smooth as we possibly make it so that when those flakes detach from there, then they're as uniform as they can be, and that's how you get. Hey, thank you for the heart. Appreciate it. Now, guys, is what I was telling everybody earlier, though, a new development here in the KVO. Starting today, now we're in the process of uploading some of the past stuff that I have available, but starting today and going forward, M Cash, how you doing this morning? Sorry, I got tongue-tied there. But starting today for sure and moving forward, I'll have each of these lives that I'm doing will be available on YouTube on a playlist, within a couple of days of the live. So I'm not sure. I've got my son is YouTube managing that account, and he knows so much more stuff about all that. So we're gonna have all this content will be available. And that, Todd, you were one of the ones I thought about when we started discussing this, because I know a lot of times you come in, pop in for a few, and then you have to leave. Terry does that occasionally. Silencer is another one that comes in to say hi, and then he has to leave a lot. So that way, you guys, if there's a point that I'm working on that you want to see the progression of all that kind of stuff, then you'll be able to go back on YouTube and check out some of my stuff. And then there's, just whatever. I mean, it's going to have as many. I think I'm going to do some more uploaded after this. I tell you what, Brizzo, down there where you're at, they did find some gold. The Ouachita Mountains, they said there is gold there. There's not a lot, and it wasn't enough for commercial mining, but there is some there. That's actually one of my bucket list items also. I would love to try to pan for gold. We went here several years ago. My wife's from Colorado, and right on, Cash. Well, like I said, if there's something that you're, that I'm working on that you want to see, or you missed whatever, I'm going to have all that stuff uploaded to the YouTube channel, and it'll, within a day or two, hopefully, of the broadcast. So I'm kind of excited about that. All right, enough working on that. I'm gonna dress this tip up just a little bit. But yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting, because like I said, it's going to be different because, you guys can obviously see it doesn't show the comments and stuff across the screen on the replays. All it shows is my side of it. So there's going to be times. Let me go back to the wife story, please. Refresh me. I'm sorry. Oh, well, the wife story, maybe. I don't. She's from Colorado. We went back there a few years ago, and I tried panning for gold, I guess was where I was going. Brizzo was talking about panning for gold, but and I tried when we were there. I found some black sands, but I mean, it wasn't. I didn't go to the right place. I didn't even know. All right, Todd. Hey, man. This will be uploaded in a few days, so if you want to watch the rest of the work that I'm doing today, I should be able to come close to it. We should finish this today, hopefully. So, and Cash, yeah, that's where I was going with it. So, kind of confused. Threw a curve at me there for a second. I was like, well, wife story. I don't usually forget much when it comes to my wife. Get a little bit of pressure off that hip. All right. Now, hold on just a second. The good old puzzle piece. And that worked a little bit better than it has in the past. Kind of messing around with my camera angles, and this is a little bit closer than what it was before, so you guys might be able to see a little bit more of what I was doing now. Oh, right on, Cash. Yeah, my wife was originally from well, Denver suburb of Thornton. Yeah, that's what it's called. All right. Now that was that series, and you can see again how we're right into this area right here. It's just starting to crest that area of mass. All right. All right. You can see that series right there. That's where we just pulled those. So again, same thing. I'm going to just go back down on here. There it went. And I'm just picking off these deltas to smooth. And you can see the difference. This is the side I just pulled all those flakes off of. You see how smooth and uniform that looks? And this is prior to doing that. You see how many undulations, and what you're trying to get is a smooth, continuous platform to get those kind of flakes. And what you're trying to get is a smooth, continuous platform to get those kind of flakes. So, and I believe that these were probably used during manufacturing. I mean, This is, every time I take a series of flakes off here, is a sharp knife again. You know, it absolutely could have been used all the way through the manufacturing process. Well, there, I got a little bit of a step. I don't like that. All right. And that's the pass after, and you see how much smoother that is. All right. Hey, OBS Carter, what's going on? Just working on this Dalton. Looking a lot more like, well, it's still a Dalton, but a plain view. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's getting there. It's got some, the contours are really nice. I can get everything to start lining up, and that's where we're going next. That's why I'm really making sure this is a good, well-prepared. I don't want it giving way as I'm pressing real down, you know, pressing hard on it. I want it to break when I want it to break and not before, because I'm really going to try to throw some flakes across the face of this in some places. You see I'm not really grinding it as much as you see all those little flakes every once in a while pop off there. Well, those are little, you know, crumple zones that if I put my tool up against that and press, then it breaks before I want it to. It robs a lot of energy out of that piece. All right. And we are going to I'm going to get this little anvil stone that I use, just a piece of river creek rock carved on it, but with a little piece of leather glued to the top of it. It's just, those of you that use like the notched hand pads and that kind of stuff, it's basically just a version of that where I'm just using it. You can see how that holds that up off of the piece, the leather, and I'm able to hold this without putting a bending force on the rock. It's solid right there in the center. So I got this, Marty Reuter uses a similar setup with little anvil stones. And what that allows, you can see that flake, you know, ripped halfway across the face. And they're coming off clean that way, so you don't have any pressure from the pad holding those on. like the angle on that one. I changed the angle. That's why a lot of these, when I get going, I try to stay in a groove, because I changed the angle on that flake up here towards the tip, and there was an area of a lot more mass. My monitor's going out again. What the heck the deal is here? Sorry guys, I know you can still see. There it goes. Yes, I do, Justin. It allows those flakes to come off clean, and you can see how those terminations, how clean they are, the way that they came across there. They're just feathered out. And but when I changed that angle just a little bit up here, I had one go short that I was hoping would travel on out into this mass. So before I let that start compounding there, I'm going to come down from the tip just a little bit and try to isolate that spot, just like I would if I was trying to isolate a big area of mass on the bottom of this. Now up towards the tip, I'm real careful. I want to kind of support this and just go downward, because you'll run those flakes right off the edge of the tip. So all I'm doing here is just kind of, see, I just barely pushed that one and it went 2/3 of the way across there. That one's over here, see, so that's, I'm resetting that. Okay, now this is the one I needed to go, and it did. See that, it wrapped it right. Now this is the one I needed to go, and it did. See that, it wrapped it right over the top of that. And then there's one right next to it. You see that little mass right there in front of my thumb. And it went right over the top of it. Cool. No harm, no foul. And now you can see the difference. See how those are running a little farther. They're almost halfway now. And that's how you start getting that convexity, where they just run right over the top of the piece. Try to get where I'm kind of in frame here. Put a little bit of a step now. I'll try to get past that. Oh, I did. Cool. Now I've got a little step fracture in here now that I think I can get that out when I go to do my pressure flute. So we're okay for for now. That one broke a little early. That one broke a little early. Okay. These I need to support a little bit. I don't want them to go too far. Kind of push back at an angle to try to see. I had a little spot there that I kind of crushed an edge. And I'll just push back at an angle, kind of like I do with the punch. And I've got another spot right there where it kind of crushed, but I think I can kind of, yeah. See how that flake went in an angle this way? I can get it in the thing here. This lighter material is just terrible to. But I threw that angle or that flake back at an angle to try to take out a little bit of issue that I had created there. And now, just finish out to the tip. You can see after that pass how close we are and that convexity. And again, this could have been used the entire time. You know, right now it's sharp and it's ready to be used as a tool. And could have been, probably was. I don't know for certain, but I would not think that they'd waste a good cutting tool just to keep dulling it, you know, continuously to make a certain type of a knife or blade or point. But then again, I don't know. I wasn't there, so. But I would guess that they would not have not used a sharp cutting tool when it was available. You know, these could be made to this stage and then set aside and used as knives or processing tools, and then when they dull, you just continue to do what I'm doing. You just adjusting those edges. That was kind of one of my theories for a while, until I realized, you know, the ultra thin knives by the Clovis culture or by the Folsom culture. I was wondering if those couldn't possibly be point preforms, that as they used them, they brought those margins in as they sharpened it, but they're just so thin in the center that I don't think that the likelihood that they were trying to flute them at that thickness. But then again, I don't know. The cast that got me started thinking about that was this one right here. That's the first flute in this piece, and it made it through the first flute. There's where it broke when he tried to flute the other side. But look through the first flute. There's where it broke when he tried to flute the other side. But look at the thickness of this piece. He was attempting to flute that. You know, so I don't know. That gets me every time when I look at that piece, that somebody actually was trying to make that thinner. Guys, any of you that are new in here, if you like this content, I'm gonna, starting with today's live going forward. Now I'm uploading some of the older stuff that I have access to, but these lives will be available on a playlist on my YouTube channel. So if you miss one or you want to see how a point ended up, you can check it out on the playlist on the YouTube channel. And it's the same New Age Neanderthal. I think there's a link in my profile that'll take you right to it. Awesome, awesome. I think OBS. I think you were one that asked about, is there any other place? One time I thought you had asked that. It may have not been you, but I know I've been asked a few times where, you know, where this might be available other than here. So all right. All right, we're gonna hit the other side now. Now this one, I'm wanting some flakes to come off clean and travel a little ways. So I'm gonna, at least on some of them, I'm gonna use the anvil stone a little bit more. All right. Well, let's see. Let's get us a sharp pressure flaker here. Tell you what, I like the way that this one's working here. Rather than grab another one that haven't been using, if you guys will allow me just to do some quick major shaping on this, and I'll burnish it on my rock. But for larger shaping, sometimes this Shinto rasp is really good for major shaping, but I don't like all the little grooves and the stuff that it leaves on the point or on the tip of your tool, because those are just like if you've got a billet that's got a bunch of pits and ratty stuff on there. Well, it's like I told you, you want the tip of this pressure flaker, you want it to be as clean and as, you know, non chunked up or chunked up with pits on it, because where it makes contact, if it's clean, then you get a cleaner flake removal. So even if I use the rasp to kind of shape that, I like the finish and almost a burnish that puts on that end. If I use the rasp to kind of shape that, I like the finish and almost a burnish that puts on that end. All right, let's see. See where we're. I don't know if I'd love to see how they did stuff firsthand, OBS, but I'm not. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'm not sure at this point in my life if I'd be full on, hey, let me do this. But when I was younger, yeah, I would say yeah. But now I'm a little too preconditioned for my air conditioning. In my comfy bed, you know. My younger me would have jumped at it, yeah. All right. That was kind of an ugly series of flakes there. Not real happy with those, but yeah, I'd love to see how they lived. I will give you that, OBS. Try that a little bit smaller, less mass piece here. All right, that's that series. Now you can see how they're, so we're probably one more series each side. And I think maybe one on this one and then back the other way. So I'm gonna rough that down a little. Because this next series on this side will just absolutely, they should run together very easily. And those deltas weren't very big, and for the most part, I just brushed most of that down. And then I'm going to go back through and kind of pick them with this on the low spots. Try not to do what I just did, which is put little step fractures in there. To grab that, get a little, there it went. All right. Well, this morning I had coffee, yeah, but I had 1 cup and that was my rationalizing this morning. I was like, well, you need 1 today. but it will be herbal tea the rest of the day for sure. All right. Well, it's almost setting up like a quad. But you can see the flaking is almost, you know, you see how that convexity. This side here, we're just this pass here should be the last pass on this face. So a little bit of a sharp edge there that I didn't like. This is the one I've been using. That one broke way before I wanted it to there. Arrow Sniper, good morning. Good morning. Hey, worked this weekend. This is going to be this one, I'm going to redo the wrap. This was just to keep it from splitting. But made a rabbit stick this weekend, a throwing stick. And as soon as I'm going to do the finish work on it, get it smoothed up, get some throws in with it, then I'm going to try to come up with a cool trick shot. You know, a la Arrow Sniper. I'm not gonna. This is Osage. I cut this out of and full discretion. This was cut with a pole saw. It was a sucker coming out of one of my soon-to-be bow trees that I've got, and I wasn't about to climb my old butt up a Osage tree in February and try to cut it out with a stone axe. So I used a pole saw, but it is pretty straight. It's fairly, oh, I do too. Even though this has got a lot of sapwood still on it, I'm anxious to see. It's going to warp a little bit, so I'm going to work with it through that. But the first few throws of this thing, it was actually, I mean, during the manufacturing, you can see this cut right here. I was scraping like this and had a flake break and just gouged the heck out of my finger. And it just happens to be right where I want to hold that to throw it. So I'm waiting for my hand to heal up just to see. Oh, it is tough. The only problem with the sapwood arrow snare, Josh, is that it tends to warp the moisture content in it, and it'll start splitting in that area, and it'll carry it into the heartwood. But on this, I've got one little split starting here. I'm probably going to wrap this tip up. That's why I wrapped this, because I had a little bit of a split starting. But I was really impressed with it as just a quick weapon. I'll have a video on most of the manufacturing of it. I split it with bone and antler wedges. Didn't really get most of that on. I thought I'd hit record on my camera and missed almost the entire splitting apart. I've got where I'm setting the wedges in, but was a little disappointed with that. But anyway, so yeah, I've got a bunch of Osage here on our place. It's everywhere. So I've got a few trees that are set aside. I've got some nice saplings. I cut a tree here a few years ago and let some of the suckers start coming out. It's been several years ago, but all those suckers are about probably 2.5, 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches in diameter. Once they get up another, I don't know, it'll be another 4 or 5 years. Bennett, I'm in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah. Yeah, here in Northwest Arkansas, it was years ago up just in the Missouri. They were still trying to promote it as a, that's why in some places it's called a hedge tree, because they were trying to promote it as a wireless fence, that and the multifloral roses, instead of, putting the wire fences out. Well, Bennett, where are you at in Southwest Missouri? If you told me before, and I've forgotten, I'm sorry, but I grew up in Wheaton, Missouri, which is about an hour north of where I'm at right now. But I've got several buddies that live up in that area too. So, I mean, if you don't want to say, that's fine. I'm not trying to mess with anybody's anonymity. Goodman, yeah, I grew up in Wheaton. Lived there until '84, and then we moved down here. Well, we moved to Monette for a year, and then down here. And I've been back in Rogers, Northwest Arkansas area since '80. Oh, see, that flake went all the way across the top of that piece. I got to be careful now because my convexity is set up really nice to where it's the chance of me having them go all the way across the piece and messing up the other margin is getting way higher. So we're going to go ahead and do this right now. Good morning, Don. Good to see you. Hey, if you're just getting in here, I got an interesting deal. So, I started at 8 o'clock this morning. So anything that you may have missed up to that point, here in a couple of days, is going to be available on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to start uploading all this live content. The only downside is you guys won't be able to, you can't see the comments, but yeah, I thought it was really great news too, Don. I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna add some, that way, because I know there's a few of you that either, you don't get a chance to, you're at work or life keeps you from doing whatever. So if you have to leave or you miss something or you want to watch how I did something again, it's going to be available for you to watch on YouTube on my channel. So part of me wants to try to hit this with the indirect to try to get a really nice flake, and then part of me is scared this is going to break if I do. What part of me do I listen to this morning? Yeah, there you go. And I'm working on some other stuff, OBS. I've got some instructional videos in the works, and then also, we're increasing the amount of content on the YouTube channel also. So just, you know, trying to do better each day, you know. On top of all that, getting ready to got a new house in the works. Still in the planning stages, but we'll be coming up pretty soon. But I am looking at doing the YouTube live if this does ever get, you know, disrupted or whatever. So all right, I got that side kind of cleaned up nice. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. I am going to take that little flake right there with this punch, just to make sure that I get the flake that I want. Just give me let me grab my practice warm-up piece here. You know, I don't ever like just picking up a rock without, you got to work you know, get that angle where it feels. See, if I did that to the end of that Dalton right there, it'd probably break it. See, my angle was off just the tiniest bit. So you want to get the feel of that angle of driving in, but not over, you know, not too much of an angle. So I'm just trying to get that feeling. It's almost like taking a practice swing in golf or something like that, but you don't really get a practice swing with this. You know, you hit it and it's what it is. So this is similar. So let's, all right. And what I'm trying to do, see this little step area right here, kind of in line with that. It's actually this way. And I'm going to try to take that up into here a little bit. Just like that on that side. And then I've got another right there. See how that took those nice. I've got one more I can pressure right there. So that made me a lot happier right there. That I was not particularly happy with how this base was going with that step that had kind of developed there. But that helped quite a bit. There we go. Now you can see how that base is all thinned and set up to go this other direction. All right, now we can finish this side. All right. can see here, you can see how I've kind of, how that ice, excuse me, a little spot right here to clean up, but you know, when we're working down the edge of a piece, and I always say, you know, isolate that mass. You can see where I started on that base and how this area in the middle that we're trying to get to, I've kind of led up to that with those flakes. And now when I press that mass has really no other recourse but to go kind of where I'm directing it. So it can't go where there's no material. So what I've basically done is said, okay, if you're going to spread out, then you're going to go this way. Man, that was an ugly side. Good night. That did not go like I wanted it to at all. It's all right though. We're still, man, we've got a nice, you can see that's one where it crushed right here. Might be able to hook just a little bit of that. Yeah, just a little of it off. But that's that side didn't go quite like I wanted it to. That's okay though. Like, you know, it's still got the correct cross section. We might have one more shot at it, but our base on this side is pretty well done. I'm gonna have to adjust this side and do the thinning area there, and we'll do that after this pass. What we're gonna do here is build that convexity just like if I was trying to flute a Folsom or anything else. Try to build a ridge that little pressure flake or the indirect can run. Ugh, I hate that crush. That was a pretty decent side, except for a couple of spots where it kind of... But this will be the last pass on that side, for sure. was that pass down that one. You can see our thickness is good. All right, let me run this one more side here, and then we're just about done. Like that. Come down from the tip and try to get that with maybe an indirect. Oh yeah, whew. Got that to roll right over that edge, cool. That one was concerning me a little bit. See how those, basically there's a couple of spots where they didn't quite match, or match up. But I'm okay with that. This is a little tip adjustment. And a really sharp tip for this setup on this little thinning flake down here on the base. I want B420 James Gang 420. I do collect a lot of my own material. This happens to be a piece that was gifted to me, but I do actually work a lot of my local Reed Springs and Burlington materials. But as far as sourcing it, it's just going out and trying to find the, I mean, you know, depends on the area of the country you live. You can look at geologic maps. There's all kinds of papers out there of, you know, different stuff of rock resources, geologic papers. It's just depending on what region you live in. But that's how I start looking for the sources of material is where those formations of the material that I'm looking for are at in my area. And then I start looking for outcroppings, streams, that kind of stuff that run through those formations where public access is allowed. And that's how I find most of my material. Now I've got friends that own property that allow me to collect also. So it's just a matter of getting out there and doing the legwork to try to find some spots. But I would suggest starting, like I said, depending on where you live, because some areas, you know, are just really rock poor. That's why we did the series on the trash napping. You know, you may be unfortunate and live in an area where there's not a lot of napping resources. And if that's the case, you know, you can work glass, toilet tank. We worked, what did I do with those? I had them set out here somewhere. Can't see with my Magoo glasses on. I must have moved them somewhere, but I'm sure I'm going to look around. Oh, here they are. Like this is a like a beer bottle bottom, like a 40 ounce that we made a Dalton out of. This is a TV glass Clovis. It's fluted on both sides. We did that on a live. And then this is a toilet tank Dalton drill. So, you know, that's a way that you might be able to source material also. There, B420. So, I mean, if you are new to napping, it's better than having to pay for material to learn on if you can work it for free. I like the way this flute looks on the other side of this. I think I'm going to try it with this side. I just want a nice little, just like that. I like how those tapered up. That's exactly what I was looking for. I didn't want to have to put a lot of force into it. I just wanted a nice clean pop off there. So trying to shape it up here. I'll probably end up having to, I'll finish this off on, you know, off camera and show you guys what it looks like tomorrow, but it's basically done except for the final shaping and stuff. You can see I'm putting some little edge stuff in that. I'm gonna fix that base to where it's even again. This would be more like a plain view is what the style would be. And that would be correct for the area where the rock came from. Got a nice lens shape from base to tip and from edge to edge from both ends. We got really nice taper to it. So guys, all of the work on this has all been done live. So except for this final little finishing stuff that I'm gonna do, and you won't be able to see a lot because it's all right here. But here in the next few days, I should have all of these posted on the YouTube. I've got a YouTube manager now that's posting stuff for me on there. So it's my son. He decided to do some YouTube technology help for his old dad. So we're gonna see how that turns out. I think so far it looks like it's gonna work good. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, James Gang. If you are new to it and you're wanting to learn, you know, when you're basically dealing with, you know, this is, every one of these is considered trash. You know, that's why we called it trash napping. But you can absolutely learn, and it's free material. So, guys, I appreciate it. We're less than 100 away from 5,000 followers. As soon as we get 5,000, we're going to give this harden away. So keep that in mind if you've got any folks that might like the channel and the content.